As most of us feel like shit on a day-to-day basis. I feel like shit now because I've just had that Pakistani breakfast earlier.
We just had a falwa puri, by the way.
Yes.
Hi guys, this is Pervez and welcome to my first podcast, and I am with James Largey. Thank you for the time, brother. This is your third trip to Pakistan. Tell me what's your experience?
My experience. Each time it's been different. I will say though, each time I have come back, I've enjoyed it more and more. Mm-hmm. I think I may move out. Here.
Really?
No, I'm joking. It's good to have it.
Like, even I don't mind if you move out here. We'll have lots and lots of opportunity to learn from you, because past few days it's been amazing. It's mind-blowing. Like, my brain freezed actually yesterday when we were in the seminar. So tell me about your journey, about how you became a transformation expert and you started your own place named FLF Performance Center. Tell me about it.
Okay, so my journey, just to give you a very, very brief synopsis, because I can bore people to death with a story, is I've always been involved in sport, like most personal trainers. They're very sporty, very athletic, and then you tend to try and merge what you like, what you're passionate about, into your job, which seems to be the done thing. However, once something becomes a job, it seemingly is no longer a passion anymore because you have to do it. But yeah, just to make the story very, very short, I initially started with boot camps.
Okay.
I got very successful with boot camps, as I've heard they've been very successful here in the past.
Yeah, it is.
But the only downside with boot camps, well, not the only downside, but one of the big downsides with boot camps is you get a lot of weight loss very fast, but they're not very sustainable. Not very sustainable, and the quality of training can be impaired when the size of the groups does increase. So due to that reason, I decided to make much smaller group training camps, which I named strength camps. They become very, very successful, which again, I'm probably fast forwarding 10 years worth of history here, but they became so successful that it has allowed me to open my own state-of-the-art, world-class facility in Manchester, the UK, where we have educators and athletes and celebrities and sports players from all over the world, as well as your average gym bro, warrior, mother of five. We have loads and loads of people, but that has allowed me, fortunately, to come across people like you and Azan, and enabled me to come into a world of education within this frontier and this career now. So that is a 15-year journey explained in 3 minutes.
It's been quite popular here, like past few years. Boot camps was everywhere, and there's a lot of transformation. But one thing that I noticed in the transformation coming from the boot camp, that the fat people then become skinny fat, and they have no muscles now. What do you have to say about those kind of transformation? Is it any healthy, or what do you have to say about it?
Well, for me personally, and I will only ever, even when I'm educating, I'll only ever come from my own personal opinion, because that's what I believe to be true, right? Whatever my opinion is, that's what I strongly believe, and therefore that's what I will live by. But for me, going from being severely obese to then being skinny fat is a good move.
Okay.
But when you're fat but not obese, then going to skinny fat, and I'll explain the difference. If you're 150 kilos and you get out the car and you need to roll to work, then it's a different story. I want you to lose the weight. That's my number one priority. But if you're maybe 90 kilos as a male, 5'10", you kind of get an idea of what this person may look like. But then you lose 30 kilos of weight, but you end up losing some lean muscle mass in the process of doing that. That's when you have a whole host of issues. Because, okay, you may have lost a lot of body fat, but you've lost one of the key components which will enable you to prevent yourself from getting injured, allow you to remain strong and train in the gym, and be overall healthy. Make sure that you're taking care of your bones, your joints, and all of those things. And that for me is lean mass, which is why we created the small group strength training camp, which is different to boot camps. It's not about energy expenditure only. It's predominantly about losing body fat without compensating on losing lean mass. That is a key thing, what we do with all of our transformations. All of our body transformations, which you'll see online on our website, social medias, all of the internet breaking stuff where you see a guy who was fat and then a guy who was shredded, or a girl who was overweight and then she's like, you know, she's got the physique, everything to go with it, the glutes, you know, the nice back, the Coke bottle sort of figure. For me, those guys tend to train with weight training. It's not burpees, it's not running, it's not jogging on the spot. It's resistance weight training, and that's what will get you that physique.
Yeah, but still, even if you see in the gyms here, there's lots and lots of people who are losing weight. They are very proud of it, but still I see that there's no muscle there. Even whenever people come to me for training, and one thing that I do is like pinch their tricep. That this is my favorite thing to do. I just pinch their tricep and they just immediately start laughing that why you're pinching my tricep. Obviously I ask them before I pinch it, but I don't see any muscle there, and it's like it's all flab. And I asked them how long they have been training, and they have been training for 3 years. I've been training for 4 years, and I'm like, there's no muscle there, and you have lose like 15 kgs already. And this is where the question mark is. What is the transformation? Is it just like looking smaller, or you have to...
Good point what you're making. Now, instead of just the aesthetic look, because we can come across vain, and we can go, oh, well, you know, you can pinch someone, no one's got... A girl might go, I don't want big triceps. And that's fair enough. My thought process is this. How have you gone from being 100 kilo overweight female to now being a 60 kilo skinny fat female? And I'm going to say that the way that you've probably got there without building lean mass will have been drastic, dangerous, and the whole host of health complications that will have come of that. Typically extreme calorie deficit, like that we all know about calories, so typically that's why a lot of diets work in the onset with people, because it's an extreme drop of calories. Now, you and I both know, and I'm sure even Auntie who lives down the road will know, if you don't eat, anyone who's done Ramadan will know, if you don't eat a significant enough amount of calories within a period of time, you lose weight, yes, but how do you feel? You feel lethargic. Your hormones may then be impaired. You may have brain fog. And this is if it's extreme, right? So you can imagine, you take the example of what you've mentioned a minute ago, I've been training for 3 years, I've lost whatever weight, it's a significant amount. What has happened in that 3 years? You know, I have no energy now, my sleep is messed up, my digestion is all over the place, if and when I do decide I want to eat a significant amount of food. You know, so you have those things. I'm not taking away from the 120 kilo, 150 kilo guy who his sole priority should be to lose weight, regardless of how he does it, providing he can sustain it also. And that tends to be another common trait with the extreme dieters. They extremely fast lose it, sorry, and they gain it extremely fast back again. But not only do they gain it, but they tend to gain it with interest added on top as well, which no one wants to start off at 100, drop to 70, and then end up back at 110. What's the point? You know, it's one step forward, 2 steps back. No one wants to do that. I've never known anyone in any avenue of life who wants to do that. So why would you want to do that in weight loss? Well, maybe because I'm getting married. Fair enough. You want to look slimmer for your wedding. I get it. But you have to be aware of the consequences of extreme dieting, extreme training, extreme anything, when you're looking for weight loss and how that can impair you in the future?
Yeah. There are a lot of people who comes here. They're like, it has some magical number that I'm on 1200 calories, and I don't know where this number come from. Everybody's on 1200 calories, but when you really look at their lifestyle and plan, they have a weekends where they're drinking and they're eating out and they're throwing away 4000 calories in weekend, 2 days, 4000 calories, and they are back to like 800 calories, 900 calories, and they feel like shit. Their sleep is all over the places, they wake up tired and all this kind of stuff. So tell me about what's your approach if a person comes to you who's been training fairly in boot camp style and then come to you with a very bad lifestyle, and how, walk me through the journey.
Okay, for me personally, and again I'll have to say that is, I will always try and get the aesthetic results of a client through improving the health.
Okay.
So I will not compromise on someone's health, and health in brackets equal lifestyle is part of the health, their psychology, how they think about things and how they feel based on what experiences they have, right, or their beliefs. I will not compromise on someone's social life, to an extent. I will not compromise someone's freedom of time with loved ones. Extreme. I will not do all of these things. I will try to have a look at someone's life and I will ask them questions about the sleep, ask them questions about the digestion, assess where they currently are physically, and I'll go, okay, which is the area at the moment that I call the lowest hanging fruit? I mean, if you go to a tree and you see an apple tree and you say, there's apples all over the tree, but which one is the easiest one? The one that if I pull the apple off the tree, it's not gonna be hard to do, it's almost unnoticeable. If I have to climb the tree, and you get what I'm saying, right? I like to use metaphors to kind of explain what I'm getting at so that general pop can understand it. I know you're a smart guy and I don't need to go into this, but for the listeners, I'm obviously aware. So I like to go there first, and I go, okay, out of everything that they've got, am I allowed to swear on this podcast? No swear? Yeah.
Whatever.
Out of everywhere that's fucked up right now, what is maybe the most fucked up / easiest area for me to fix? And I do that.
Okay.
Now here's the bonus to doing that. Not only is it the most fucked up and the most easiest to fix, what happens when I get that fixed with a client? What happens now?
They trust you.
They trust me, right?
They trust you, yeah.
So as soon as a client trusts me, I have buy-in with them, they see a result. True? Because I've fixed the most fucked up issue that they've got going on, like this. So now they trust me.
Yeah.
So now what I can do is I can go, because we did that, see how easy that was? Would you mind trying this next? Of course. Because whatever you did was so easy, it did not impact my life so dramatically. I was still able to drink my chai. I was still able to have my chapatis, and I'm still losing weight. You're a genius. So tell me what to do next, sir. Please, sir. I say jump, they say how high. That's what I'm after. So in the initial onset, I'm after what is the quick win? What is the area where I can fix the easiest, and the area that's typically having such a big knock-on effect to all these other areas that they will physically see it or physically feel it. That's my go-to. And then from them, it's just a snowball effect. It's individual based on the client.
Yeah, but this is for the people who are training with a trainer, right? This is something to learn for the trainer. But for the general pop, for example, if there is a 20-year-old female sitting at home, have no trainer, can't go out, and she wants to lose weight. Now she's been doing that extreme diets like ketogenic diet, and she's been starving herself like IF and so many stuff. Now she's fucked. She's skinny fat and she wants to lose more weight. Now for them it's very difficult to actually make that happen, and they're depressed. This is very common in Pakistan. So for them, what do you have to suggest them?
Okay, in terms of, there was a lot there.
There's a lot, yeah.
She's skinny fat, she's got no money for a trainer, she's depressed. It's like, where do I start? Now for me, I always like to start, as I mentioned, with the most fucked up / easiest area to fix. So if she is depressed, then I would always suggest this, and I suggest this with all my coaches back in Manchester, the guys that work with me, is I always try to find out what the root cause is with everything. It's great being able to deal with a symptom on a symptoms level, like doctors do a lot of the time. You know, here's some medication for this, or you've got acid reflux, here's an antacid. But what is causing that? I always try to look at what is the root cause, and I will even go down to what is the root cause of unhappiness within a client. So if a client wants something, I probably would say, if you want something and you want it bad enough, you'll get it. Like, don't matter how poor you are, where you are in the world, whether you're male, whether you're female, if you want it bad enough, you know, you go get it. And you probably will get it if you want bad enough. So my thing would be to ask, I would go behind what the goal is of the client. Someone wants to now lose weight, or someone wants to now, I'm skinny fat, but I still feel depressed, and I want to feel happy, whatever it might be. I always challenge the why behind the goal. Okay, you want to gain weight, why? And the answer may be, well, because I've lost a load of weight and I still feel like shit. Cool. Great awareness. As most of us feel like shit on a day-to-day basis. I feel like shit now because I've just had that Pakistani breakfast earlier.
We just had a halwa puri, by the way.
Yeah, so, you know, it was amazing in the moment. My awareness is that because I had the breakfast, it's made me feel like shit. Now that breakfast was delicious. I don't know what the hell it was. You know, Zebo said, I see you're having eggs. I see your eggs and I raise you Pakistani breakfast. It's on its way. So I was like, okay. It came in. There was a big dump of yellow something and some chickpeas. And oh, it was crazy. Anyway, I'm aware of that. Okay, so I'm aware of what the root cause was of me feeling like shit right now. So I always try to look at patterns. If I don't know what it is, what's making me feel a certain way, I start to look at patterns. Okay, you're depressed. When do you feel the shittiest? Whenever my husband's home. He might be the cause of it.
Okay.
Yeah? Now, I'm not saying you need to get a divorce, but you need to be aware of what is the root cause. At the moment, he's making you feel depressed. It's not the fact that you're skinny fat or you're overweight. This guy's making you feel depressed. So maybe your gym or your boot camp or your Zumba class is your escape at the moment, which is why you spend a lot of time there and why you've seen results there. So you can go to the gym, and then she can, this female that may then put on some lean mass. She may look hot as hell, and she goes home, and her husband doesn't acknowledge her. How does she feel? Exactly the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So always go to the root cause and kind of question, when do I feel the shittiest? Well, I know, because of my awareness now, I feel the shittiest when I've had some poorly digestible food. I have no idea what that was. My body is like, what the hell is going on right now? So I said to you, listen, we're doing a podcast. Let's get some taurine, let's get some caffeine. We need to be switched on. Now that's not here yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully when it does come, we can crack the monster open like every idiot PT does in the world, and kind of go, you know what, I feel stressed, my digestion's fucked, but fuck it, let's throw some more stress on there because we got a job to do. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We'll crash later, we'll deal with it later.
Cool.
Yeah, but let's just water it down a bit and just talk about some physiological aspect about diet and training. Yeah,
which is just as important.
Yeah, because psychological is one thing, and it's very important for a trainers to understand that how to actually understand their clients, their psychology, and their personality type that we discussed from the past few days.
Yeah.
But when it comes to training and nutrition, now nutrition is very, very complicated now. It's more complicated than ever it was, because every year the new diet comes in, like ketogenic diet, now carnivore diet is coming in, now Netflix have this whole biased documentary called The Game Changer. Now, for a normal person, it is very confusing. It is very confusing. Now for them, what is the starting point for them?
Okay, good question. First of all, to just touch on Netflix, I do strongly believe that Netflix has been heavily influenced by the vegan investors, and some of those vegan supplementation investors being heroes of mine.
That's a keyword, by the way, vegan investors. That's a business behind this.
100%. You've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, you've got Kai Green, you've got Kobe Bryant, you've got very big political celebrity sports endorsed names who are backing an ideology which is there is one way that is the best way. No, there is not one way which is the best way for anyone. And there is my most favorite quote that I always say on every seminar and internship, which you will have heard the last 3 years. Do you remember it?
Thing doesn't work forever.
You're under pressure now.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact words, but I know. I know that one thing works for one person doesn't work for another. One thing works for once doesn't work forever.
Yes.
Something like this. Yeah.
So I'll tell you again, that was perfect. I used to say it the other way around, but that's perfect.
Okay.
So I say, what one thing works for someone will not work forever. It will not work for you forever. Okay? So you may have a method that works now, you may have a nutrition plan that works now, it will not work for you forever. And what works for you may not work for somebody else.
Okay.
Now, once you actually wrap your head around that, then you actually go, wait a minute, okay, so that means that there is not one thing that is the best.
That's true.
There is not one side of the fence that you should always be on. Then is a seed is planted, which I struggled to plant when I started to do some success, when I started to get some success in the industry, and that was through making people go low carb. Back in the day, I used to make people go low carb all the time, especially if they're fat. Okay, you're fat, no carbs, you don't deserve them. That was my mentality, right? And it was heavily,
like polyquin.
yeah, it was heavily influenced by Charles.
Yeah.
Because I seen results from it. But then there was a bunch of people who I didn't see results with, who I fucked over, and I'm able to hold my hands up and say I did that because I was not educated with there is more ways. There is not one thing that will work for everyone. Okay? And even the people that the low carbs worked with, it no longer served them at a certain point in time, and in fact it was holding them back. Especially when they were trying to gain lean mass, right? Well, anyway, when you see success with something, you hold on to that and say that's the best thing since sliced bread. Which is what happens with keto diet, which is what happens with vegan dieters, which is what happens with insert name diet.
But at the same time, because a lot of diet is always about weight loss, I don't see any diet is about muscle gain. Ketogenic diet for muscle gain, there's no such thing, because this is now more complicated. Muscle gaining process is more complicated than actually weight loss.
No. So the percentage population of diets that get devised will be focused at who? Overweight or skinny?
Overweight, for sure, 100%. Yeah.
So that's the reason why, right? What they tend to do is it's an entry level of you're fat, let's lose weight. Next stage is you're now skinny, let's gain some size. And it's this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And they may trade different ways. And then, okay, I lost weight that time, but I didn't lose it the way so I'm going to put on some size, and then I'm going to lose it a bit different this time. And it's a constant journey, which is cool if you want to experiment and stuff. But in essence, you want to know, like most clients do, what is the best diet? You probably get that question quite a lot on question answers. What is the best diet for fat loss, or to lose my man boobs, or to lose this thing that you always pinch? The best diet is the one that works for you right now. And just be aware that it may not work forever. So I will try to figure out, based on that client, what will be the best diet for them right now. Because if they come into me at an entry level of going, I eat keto and it works phenomenally, I've lost 20 kilos. Now if I'm anti-keto and I go, keto shit, this person is going to walk out of my office and leave. Yeah? And they may put on weight, they may continue to lose weight. Who cares? But from a business standpoint and from a results-based standpoint, I go, okay, cool, yeah. Can you explain to me why you like keto? Oh, because I lost weight and it's convenient. I just get to carry nuts around with me, and you know, I get to eat meat all day. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, well, that isn't keto, because a true keto diet is a large amount of fat, very little protein. Approximately 15% of the food will be protein. It will be no more, and you eating meat all day. So in my head, I'm going, okay, yeah. that's definitely not keto, but carry on. Give me the info that I need. I get to eat meat all day and eat nuts all day. Well, that basically says to me is they really like meat and they associate a diet with, a bad diet with, you're not allowed to eat meat. And nuts, it's convenient. You can have them in your car, you can take them in your bag to work, you can... Cool. So they're just more aware of what they're eating now. Now, if you were to do a traditional Pakistani breakfast like what we've just done, do you think they would be able to eat that?
Never.
Why? Because it's not keto, right?
Keto, yeah.
It's not fat, it's not protein, it was just purely carbs.
Yeah.
So now I've changed my behavior and I'm no longer having that breakfast. Now that breakfast, I would say, would be approximately around 800 calories.
Easily. Even more maybe.
I'm being generous.
Yeah, easily.
And it was, it's just breakfast. And I had a chai tea with it as well, which is an extra what?
100 calories?
100 calories as well. There's 900 calories consumed, gone. Now you try and eat 900 calories worth of meat. I'm going to give you some chicken breast. Do you know how much that is? 3 or 4 chicken breasts.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You're going to get through 2 chicken breasts and you're going to go, oh, I'm so full, I can't eat anymore. So they weren't following a keto diet. They were following food that had high satiety level, meaning I can't eat lots of it because it fills my hunger. And also they were eating food that was convenient. I could just carry it around and I could have it as snacks and whatever else, but I'm aware of it. It's the lack of awareness as to why a lot of people are overweight, because they're eating without even realizing.
Yeah.
Which is why, as you know, very experienced coach, you've had people who've come in severely overweight and you say, what's your diet look like? And what do they say? I have a salad and I eat a little bit of roti. No, you don't. You have 5 rotis over the day, but you don't even remember it. You have no awareness of it. You know what I mean?
I remember from this seminar that man lies, woman lies, but number never lies.
That's a Jay-Z quote. I love Jay-Z. I love rap music.
So if your number is high, so that means you have been eating. You're not eating salads on. You're eating a lot more than that.
9 out of 10, and that's 90% of the population. The reason will be because it's a calorie overconsumption that you're unaware of. Now, I'm not calories in, calories out only guy. I'm not that guy.
I know.
You know I'm the functional woo-woo guy, psychology guy as well, right? I'm every guy. I'm no longer supporting one football team.
Yeah, that's why your perspective is important, because there are people who support certain diets and there are people who support some other diet. But the vegan. Problem is,
vegan. Once upon a time, I was anti-vegan. Yeah, a lot of people are going vegan. So imagine I put myself in the anti-vegan pigeonhole. How many vegan clients will I get? None. Now what? Then I go, wait a minute. These people are getting results on a vegan diet. I wonder why that is. I'll tell you why it is. Because they're now more aware of what they eat. Because most vegans are very sensible about what they eat. So for me, I joke in a seminar and say this, and I hope no vegans find this offending. I'm highly sarcastic, so please don't take this offending. The vegan diet is the best diet in the world if it has meat in it. Yeah? Yeah? I don't want to offend anyone.
Okay.
You know, if you're going vegan because you want to save animals and things, I get it. The reason why I'm saying that is because without meat, you're missing an essential full profile of amino acids and creatine. Now, good luck trying to get strong in the gym. Good luck trying to help with detoxification without the consumption of amino acids.
But there are people who say that you can get all the amino acids from the different plants if you mix it together.
You can. You'll never have a full profile of all amino acids. I mean, the vegans will understand that and they'll go, well, we still manage to detoxify because we get our aminos from elsewhere. Do you want me to tell you where they get it from?
What's the source?
Their own lean mass.
Oh, so they're breaking down their own lean mass to get the protein. Oh, okay.
That's your meat consumption there. It's your own body.
Wow.
So I will break down my own. So it's great because the body will go, we need to detoxify. We need essential amino acids for that. I don't get that from plants. So how can I get it? I'll take it from my body.
Eat your own self.
Perfect.
That's
because I don't care about muscle, I care about detoxification. I don't want these toxins in my body. I need to detox. I need to remove the toxins. I'm doing this now while I'm breathing. I'm removing carbon dioxide.
Okay, now talking about the detox, I'm going to talk to you about in detail when we talk about digestion, but there are a lot of people who are going on a detox diet and all they are doing is sipping on juices, green juices, and there's no meat there, there's no amino acids there, and they are like foggy and headaches all the time, like all day. They are like, I have a migraine, and they don't perform well during those days at all.
Okay, now I know now, after you've attended my seminar, you know why that is. Yeah? So basically the reason why you have those side effects, headaches, sluggishness, all of those things, is because your ability to detox becomes what? When you no longer got aminos present? Impaired.
Impaired, yeah.
Worse. So therefore I suffer with more headaches now. I suffer with brain fog now. You know? And what's even worse is they do it in a period of time where they go, I'm going to fully detox, so I'm going to no longer drink coffee. I'm going to no longer smoke cigarettes. I'm coming off all of it. Now what's the bonus of smoking cigarettes? The nicotine. Why? Because it allows you to go to the toilet. Yeah? So when I light up a fag in the morning, what do you want to do straight after it? You want to go and have a poo, right? Now you remove nicotine via the cigarette, you remove your coffee, which also makes people want to what? Go to the toilet. So I've removed two functions of which excite my bowels and make me go to the toilet whilst I'm detoxifying, but I'm not detoxifying, I'm worsening my detoxification process because I'm not having meat.
Wow.
So my detoxification is worse, my going to the toilet is now impaired, I'm now constipated, I now have food that's just sat in there fermenting, causing all sorts of distress, gastric distress. Now you tell me how you feel when you're bloated or you got constipation. Do you feel like you want to go train?
No.
Do you feel like you want to do anything?
Yeah.
So you look at the cascade of events that happen from going on a full detox, right?
Yeah.
So the detoxification process, you have to factor in that there's phases to it, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It will get too complicated to speak on a podcast. However, understand that phase 3, you need to go to the toilet. And if you're now constipated because you've removed cigarettes and coffee whilst you're detoxifying, you've put yourself in a worse position than the start. So I never encourage clients to stop smoking or drinking coffee when they first come to me and they go, you're supposed to be the health guy.
Yeah.
And I go, one step at a time. I need you to poo first. So as we're losing weight and as you become more, your gut health improves, I no longer need you to have one of the two things.
Cheers. Yeah, so now we have a monster. First time in my life. Okay. Yeah, so talking about dieting, and one thing you mentioned earlier, one thing that works for one person may not work forever.
Yes.
Now, I have this, I was watching that Facebook post at some group, that one guy posted that he was 150 kg, he did ketogenic diet, and now he's 100 kg, he lost about 50 kilos. Now, according to him, ketogenic is the best diet that is possible, but now he must have lost a lot of muscle during the process because he was maybe, but now his perception is that ketogenic diet is the best diet possible. Yeah. So now he's 100 kg, he may need to add some muscle tissue.
Or he may need to further lose weight, but it's no longer working.
Yeah. So,
is that common?
So for that person, how difficult it is to break that perception and open their mind that, okay, there is more to it than just ketogenic diet.
Of course, it's very difficult because the ketogenic diet has allowed him to do something that he's never been able to do before. And it's given him a tremendous result. He's 33% less heavier in weight, and that was what he wanted. But he may want to continue the weight loss and it's no longer serving him. So I would approach it from the same quote. Not one thing works forever and not one thing works for everyone, in a nutshell. But I would find out what worked within the ketogenic diet and I would still keep the principles of that.
Okay.
So for example, he may be eating keto, but his calorific consumption may be elevated. Elevated to a level of which allows him to sustain 100 kilos in weight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he may be on 4,000 calories a day, ketogenic, But previously, he was on 6,000 calories a day, non-ketogenic. So you do the 2,000 calorie deficit. Over the year's time, he's lost 50 kilos, which may have to be more time than that, or he may be now at 2,000 calories, but it's ketogenic, right? So he may now need to, typically, without considering all the multi-facet areas, and exercise more, expend more energy, or consume less.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So what I would say is there room to consume less? For example, if someone is at 1,000 calories a day, is there legitimately room to drop any more calories? Well, my life, no, they wouldn't be. Because I know what calories I currently need in order to function in my day-to-day life. And that's approximately 2,000 for me personally. Yeah. With this person, they may need insert number of calories, who knows? So then I would go, can this person afford to expend more energy? Well, how do I know how much energy they're expending? I find out how many steps they're doing per day. I find out what their daily activity levels are. We call it NEAT in the industry. I find out how many times they're training in the gym per week. I find out how many times they're doing Zumba per week. I find out how many times they go for a walk on the beach with their kids per week. And I say, is there room for more there? And if the answer is yes, because I do 2,000 steps a day only, and I could easily do 5,000, well, how do you know that someone could do 5,000? Because they drive everywhere. They have valet bring the car to them. Well, why don't you just walk to the car and get the car yourself? Well, because the valet will do it. But if you're more aware of, well, I need to get more energy expenditure, then you may walk and get the car, as opposed to have the valet come. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I look for, again, I revert back to the original question that you asked me, which was, what do I do? I go to the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest area that I can do to continue the weight loss. Now, you mentioned he may now need to build muscle. That may be the case. If so, it's a different approach. I'm speaking strictly from a fat loss standpoint. They need to do more. They need to eat less. Or they need to fix the digestion, fix their sleep, fix their stress issues, because the reason why they may not be dropping weight is because they're stressed. If you're stressed, you're inflamed. If you're inflamed, you will be heavier.
Yeah.
If you're stressed and inflamed, you will want to eat more shit. You know, so it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, that can be the reason for most of them, is because if you're stressed and you're in calorie deficit, what is the physiological response coming from your body then?
Let's make it worse. Let's do what a lot of people do. Not only am I stressed, not only am I in a calorific deficit, but I'm also eating no carbohydrates or sugar. Does that sound like something
Cortisol is like on the roof.
Yeah. So if I'm stressed, essentially chronically stressed, that is a chronic elevation of our stress hormone called cortisol.
Yeah.
Now, cortisol will not be present in the same environment as insulin. How do we secrete insulin?
By eating carbs.
Consumption of sugar.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm stressed, cortisol is high, which is your fight or flight. It's a good hormone to have. Like, if we don't have it, we don't want to get out of bed in the morning. Insulin, what's insulin's job? Managing blood sugar, right? So if our blood sugar goes up too high, insulin kicks in, brings it back down. If we do not have enough energy, a boss asks us to do something, or the kids say, come on, dad, let's go. If you don't have the energy, or if someone punches you in the face and you need to there punch them back or restrain them, and you don't have the energy, adrenaline's kicking.
Yeah.
Then we create cortisol, chain of events, stress hormone. Now I have energy, now I can fight or run away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, if I am stressed, which means I'm in fight or flight mode, the way to combat that would be to have sugar. Because when I have sugar, insulin is secreted. Insulin and cortisol will not be in the same environment at the time. Insulin combats cortisol. So I explain this to a client in simple terms. Imagine cortisol as fire and insulin as water. If you want to dampen, if you want to manage your stress, have some sugar.
Yeah, but will you still lose weight if you are super stressed and on a calorie deficit ketogenic diet?
Okay, so if I'm stressed and I'm keto / low calories, because that's essentially what keto is, it's high fat, low carbs, it's high fat and I'm low calories. So there's 4 elements. I'm stressed,
Yeah.
I have no carbs, I have low calories, and what was the other one?
I'm in deficit.
I'm in a deficit, right? So all of those things, that's a bad combination. A way to fix that in order to allow further weight loss would be to remove some of the fat and or protein and replace with sugar, carbohydrates, glucose, whatever you want to call it.
Now this is where the psychological element kick in, because the people who are doing ketogenic diet, they think if they eat carbs, they're gonna gain weight. Now, is it fair to say that the people who are under stress, the ketogenic diet is not a very suitable option for them?
My honest answer, my honest answer is this. Most people think that they're keto, but they're not.
True.
All right, so I'm keto, but I'll just have this roti one time. So are you really keto? Because it probably takes anywhere from 4 to 14 days to become keto. So my thing is, most people who think they're keto, they may last a day or 2 keto, and then they have some form of carbohydrates. Now, it's very hard to find food sources nowadays without carbohydrates in it.
But there are people who are literally testing their ketones level in their blood, like regularly.
Now, how do you test it? Most people will do a piss on a stick test, right? Is that common here?
Yeah, it is.
You piss on a stick. Now, that will not tell you whether you're in ketogenesis or not. That will tell you whether you've consumed ketones and whether you've pissed them back out again. Just the same as when you have a multivitamin. You ever had a multivitamin before and you take a piss? Guys will know, maybe females. And you look at your piss and it's like yellow-green. That's essentially the excess multivitamin tablet, any waste product from the tablet that you didn't use is coming back out. It's the same with ketones. So of course, the stick is going to tell me I'm in a keto state if I've consumed ketones. Does that make sense?
Then what's the best option to know that if you're in keto? If you want to test it?
You would have to do legitimate blood tests over periods of time to see whether you're in a keto state.
It's like taking a blood sugar test with a pinch.
And then
you should be able to find out from that. It would probably be intravenous, but in my, like I say, in my experience and in my opinion, the reason for keto working or not working, or let's just go with working at the moment, is just because you are more aware of the calories that you are taking in. If keto is no longer working for you and you're stressed and you're in a calorific deficit and you're not losing weight even though you should be losing weight, then I would just go, listen, what's the worst case scenario if we introduce some carbohydrates in the most important part of the day when you need to relax, which is the night time?
Yeah.
So I say, instead of having that handful of almonds, which is 200 calories tonight, how about we change that and we have 200 calories worth of chocolate? Now, what do you think the response is going to be from the frustrated, stressed individual who's asked you now for guidance? They're going to be like, serious? Or 200 calories of ice cream? Are you serious? Will I lose weight from that? And if I say, let's just run the test and see what happens, keep everything the same, do you think they're going to lose weight from it?
But they can gain water weight by eating carbs. Okay, good point.
Can hit their psychological
So for my thing, good point. So for my thing, that's very good. Some people might not understand the carb-water association. With my point, if someone is stressed, they're already holding water. Because they're inflamed. So if I introduce carbohydrates, will I hold more water when I'm inflamed, or will I hold less water?
Less water. Okay.
That's the likelihood of it. Now we run the test.
Okay, so there's a lot of variables there. Now for the person who is in keto, they've been doing for some time and they stop losing weight there. So first thing they have to check is their stress levels, if I'm not wrong.
Before we go on to that though, I've give you 200 calories of chocolate.
Okay.
How has your sleep now been?
Much better, because my insulin is high and my cortisol level is low. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I've actually gone to bed relaxed and happy, chilled.
Yeah.
I've had a good night's sleep, which has done what to my inflammation?
It came down.
Come down.
Strictly, yeah.
I jump on the scales the next day.
Dropped. Definitely. Yeah.
This magic chocolate diet.
Oh yeah, that's
Just bring me that attention. The people are post contest, the people who have been dieting for some time, getting leaner, and then post their contest after the show when they start eating carbs again, and they just started to feel full and much leaner and much more tighter. Like this can be the same physiological response from their body as well, because they have not been eating carbs for weeks, and now suddenly when they eat carbs, their cortisol level comes down.
For sure, but not only what else will happen if you have carbs, a very important point that you've just made there is that you may hold water. You may store glycogen in the muscle because of the carbohydrates more successfully, but you may hold water because of carbs consumption. Now, if you go crazy with the carb consumption, of course you're going to go up in weight, and a lot of it will be water weight. But the trade-off in weight, if you're highly stressed, cortisol is through the roof, I would much rather you have carbs. The likelihood is 9 times out of 10 your weight will drop.
So let me get this in like right context now.
Now I'm not saying have a donut.
no, I got what you're trying to say is if a person is on 2000 calories ketogenic diet and he's stressed, right? So most likely he's already holding water. So just for the trade-off, remove that 200 calories of fats and add 200 calories of carbs.
Macros have changed.
Yeah, and keep everything same, and they're gonna lose more weight. Even they are not in a keto, typically a keto barriers.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's something that breaking off the typical mentality of a ketogenic guy and giving them more of a wider approach that they can use and not feel frustrated when they're dieting.
So when that client who's team keto comes
this is a big one.
Right.
Everybody's like team keto and team anti-keto. Like this is now
I'm
how
neither.
the industry is divided.
Yeah, I'm neither. I'm team keto when it works, and when it no longer works, thank you keto for delivering the goods. Now I'm team what works. I'm team what works, right? Where you are in this current position. So for the guy who comes in next day and he's team keto and he goes, that little one-day experiment that I was willing to run because I trust you now, you're my advisor. I ran it for one day knowing that, let me just see what works. And it worked. Can you tell me why it worked? And then you explain the process of how it worked. And then he might go, well, is keto crap then? And then what do you go? No, keto isn't crap. Because it's allowed you to get from 150 kilos to 100 kilos in the state that you're in. And it may even allow you to drop further weight. But the lowest hanging fruit at the moment was the fact that you were highly stressed, highly frustrated, highly inflamed.
Yeah.
You wanted further weight loss. Now, can I educate you on the fact of you probably just lost some inflammation and it wasn't body fat? I'm going to be completely honest with you, Pervez. Pervez, we've been joking over the last 4 days about in the UK I just come up with a name of someone and I go, okay, let's call someone that they look like this, give them a name, and we came up with Pervez in the last few days. So, and then Pervez might be like, wow, this guy's willing to give me some knowledge, give me an explanation behind it, and actually stand in a position of going, that thing that worked for you, it wasn't bullshit. It did work, and here's the reason why. And it may continue to work, but here's the reason why it hasn't been as of recent. So people will continue to do something until it no longer works, and then they may ask questions. Then they may ask more questions and go, why is this thing that's worked for me for such a long time no longer working? Then they are in a position psychologically to be willing to explore new realms.
Yeah, so right now...
So there's a person who was, before eating everything, a lot of carbs, so their insulin was like on the roof all the time, and now, then he started keto, now he suppressed the insulin. He started to lose a lot of weight. But what happened then, their cortisol level goes up because they're highly stressed. Now the best thing to do at that spot is to reduce cortisol levels. So that's why carbs is your best friend now.
For sure.
Yeah, so it is not just important that calorie deficit or what kind of diet you are doing, you also have to understand how your hormones are functioning and how your physiological response to it. Wow. Okay, so this is now just become like completely wider perspective and how you can use your carbs and how you can use your fats within a day to create a greater impact on your body. Yeah.
Now, if you look at food, carbs, protein, and fats, solely from a science standpoint, you will never get the full picture.
Okay.
And a science standpoint is ketogenic standpoint, it's calories in, calories out standpoint, it's low carbs and what carbs does for you, insulin, blah, 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 blah standpoint. Now, can I manage cortisol if I put myself in a non-stressful state without even consuming carbs? Of course I can. There was a guy I learned from years ago called Christian. He was very famous for doing a transformation.
Christian Maurice, right?
Christian Maurice, not a transformation, number of transformations over short periods of time. And he said the number one most important thing when it comes to getting transformations or weight loss or results with clients is this.
Psychology.
And I went to him and I was kind of, well, isn't training the most important, or isn't nutrition or supplement, surely they're the most important thing, right? That is surface level thinking. What he says is, we all know about the placebo effect, right?
Yeah.
You can take a sugar pill when you're ill, and by taking that sugar pill, believing that sugar pill is working, you can fix yourself.
Yeah.
You can cure yourself from that illness, right? We've seen it happen time and time again. Now, well, we may have seen it happen and we may have been unaware of it, but there's studies that have been done, right? Now, just touching on that, brain fog after that monster, he mentioned about a study which was speaking about schizophrenic clients, schizophrenic people within the study. Now, if you measure the schizophrenic personality type, so I'm in one personality type, and then I change to another. You know what schizophrenia is?
Yeah,
Well, it's almost like dual personality. It's almost like bipolar, but on an extreme level. And there was a study done where you take the blood from from the same person when they're in a certain state, a certain personality type, and they would come up as pre-diabetic or even diabetic. 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, 1 hour later, however long it may have been, no food consumed, you retake the blood again from that same person, no carbohydrates, no protein, fats consumed, and the blood markers, because of the personality state that they were in, would state that they're no longer diabetic.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds a little bit out there and a bit woo-woo, and I don't want to confuse people even more, but what I am saying is a lot of the general population do not have the understanding on the power of the mind and how that can change your physiology. So the way I like to do it on a surface level is, are you stressed? Here's a thing at the moment until I can educate you to prove that hormones and all of these things can influence the result. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A little bit all over the
individualized.
Completely, like you can't just give that, here's a diet plan, I'm giving it this to 10 people.
For sure.
This
now,
is-
if you say, James, I'm on low calories, I'm on keto, and I'm stressed.
Yeah.
If you are able to pray and bring cortisol down that way, or meditate, or train and bring cortisol down, because some people train and it goes worse, then you may not need to have carbohydrates because you've mitigated the cortisol response. You've managed it well. But a lot of people struggle. What do? They're stressed out all day from the boss, giving them a hard time. The wife's stressing them at home. They get home, and guess who wants to play with them because they've not seen them all day? The kids.
Yeah.
And then they go home, and then the wife goes, "Oh, this is broken. Can we live in a constant, stressful, crazy-ass world where the number one thing that we all experience is stress, fatigue, inflammation, illness, suffering, pain, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's 100% true. This is the reality of the world right now.
How do we manage that? That's the one thing. If you can manage stress better then you won't have the need to do any crazy diets. You won't need to take supplementation. But it's easier said than done, James.
Yeah.
I understand that, so therefore I go to the lowest hanging fruit first. What is the lowest hanging fruit? So for me, because I'm aware, if I needed to manage stress better, there would be no way I would have just had that monster, because it's high amount of caffeine in it, which will shoot my cortisol up. And there would be no way that I would have had that. What's the breakfast called?
Halwa puri.
Halwa
puri.
Halwa puri?
Yeah, halwa puri.
I would have never had that.
Yeah.
Why? Because the massive amount of oil and carbs and calories, and it's just made me extremely sluggish, which is why, you know, we've had the monster to combat it. But it's two evils in there now, and I'm aware that come 1 hour from now, I'm probably going to crash. But we've took a day off to do this podcast, so I've took the hit. But if my goal was to manage stress, I wouldn't have done those things, you know, because I'm aware of it now, which is why clients will typically...
It's like a more of
For mindful approach to everything what we are doing, yeah.
For sure.
So you don't have to be on any particular diet, but you just have to see what works best for you in that moment, and you take that.
For sure. Look,
Yeah.
as you know, and as when we spoke to the guy earlier, I haven't trained for over 2 years properly. I've done a couple of handful of sessions here and there. I haven't followed a diet for years. Would you classify me as overweight?
not at all.
Would you classify me as having not very much lean muscle mass? Would you?
Actually,
You have a more lean muscle than me, and I wonder how I train 5 days a week for years. How do you manage that? Tell me about it.
Now, it's not because of my genetics. There may be some element in there. It's not because I do anything special other than I understand the whole picture. I understand the whole picture. So for me, I will simply go, the stress for me of eating the same food, doing the same training over and over, that's stressful for me. So I'd rather not do that.
because you're more aware of your personality.
100%.
Yeah.
If I get told I need to do the same training program and eat the same breakfast every single day, that for me is horrible. It's painful for me. It's boring. I don't like boredom. Yeah.
So one more thing.
Your clients, how do you manage to give them some variety yet manage to keep them under calorie deficit? That can be a very difficult approach for a lot of people because it's very easy to go overboard on calories if you're not aware of what you're eating, what's the choices you're making. So how do you do that?
I go to, again, the lowest hanging fruit. And I say to them, if they're showing signs of boredom, like I would, if I was told to do the same training all the time and eat the same food all the time, my coach would ask me, hopefully, or I would ask myself, and I would go, which area of the training or which exercise or what is it that's boring you the most? Give me 3 of the most boring things that you're frustrated with or you don't want to do anymore. And tell me 3 things about this whole diet or this training that you really enjoy. And they might go, I hate having to eat healthy in the morning where it's just my oats and protein shake. I hate that. I want to be able to have eggs. I want to be able to have, toast now and again, cereals now. I hate having to have my oats and protein shake in the morning. I go, okay. And I go, anything else? And they go, I miss chocolate as well. I want some chocolate. That's what I hate, not having to have chocolate. I go, okay. A third thing? No, there is no third thing. It's just, I want to have variety for breakfast and I want to have some chocolate. And I go, okay. Tell me 3 things you like about it. Well, I do like the fact that we're seeing results. Obviously that's why I came to you. I like dinner. I love that chicken rice meal. It's amazing. Mum gives it some spice and whatever. I love that. And yeah, I'm not bothered about the rest. It's just the variety thing in the morning and the chocolate. So I go, cool. If I can give you chocolate and if I can give you variety of choice of your breakfast within reason, where I kind of go, okay, we're going to stick to the exact calories that the current oats and protein is and try keep the macros very similar. And I give you chocolate specifically on days where you've trained, because therefore you will have combated the additional calories essentially that you're going to be having. And even more so, if I give you chocolate maybe at night when you're stressed, would you be happy with that? Would I be happy? I'll snatch your hand off now if you offer me that. Cool. And then I go, okay, cool, that's what we'll do. But will I get fat though? Oh no, because we have a plan in place.
Okay, so let me understand. So
you're not going to keep all the options open. You're still going to be a very, very strict environment, but you will change a one variable maybe and just try to make it work according to the person.
The most fucked up easy area. For that person, the most fucked up easy area is, can I change my breakfast? That's easy for me to do. Of course, what you have at the moment is 100 grams of oats, and you have a protein shake. That's approximately 25 grams of protein, and equates to 250, 300 calories. So I go, what is that in eggs? Well, it's 2 eggs and a slice of toast. You know, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah. So I understand that it's not just the calories you are managing the person's mindset and what they need at that particular time and place. Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
So this is why you managed to get lots and lots of transformations in your place. Yeah, that's amazing. Now, that was all about diet. But when it comes to training, it is confusing for the people, especially for females, that if they lift weights, they're going to get big. I don't want to get big and things like this. So for you, if you're trying to plan a workout, right, would you consider more of a cardio thing for the person or more of a weightlifting element?
Highly depends. And I hate answering that way, but it highly depends on not only the physiological response, but it highly depends on the psychological response. So if a client feels strongly that they do not want to lift weights, they feel strongly that they're not ready to lift weights because they're going to get big, i.e. a lot of females, then I won't come to them on a level of, we're going to do weight training 3-4 times a week. It's going to be heavy squats, compounds. I won't come to them on that level. I will come to them on the level of which I can get buy-in, trust, and I can show them results fast. And then what I tell them to do, I can tell them to do jumping up handstands, slap themselves in the face with a fish 5 times a night, and they will do it because they've seen that I am now in their head, and I've given them the result. I've shown them that I'm trustworthy.
No, that's a psychological part, but I'm talking about the physiological side of it. If there is somebody who is skinny fat, and then obviously they've been training like cardio for years now, and now they're unhealthy and their requirement is to build muscle and strength, but they're still afraid of lifting weights.
I can see that you're biased towards weight training.
I'm a little biased towards cardio, but I'm open for the possibilities that cardio have a bigger effect on a psychological for a lot of people.
Yep.
But physiologically,
because if you go deep down into their mind, they all want to get leaner and not skinny, right? So if you want to get leaner, weightlifting is the thing that you want to do.
Some people want to get skinny as well. Some people are happy to be skinny fat. I just simply find out what it is that they want. I don't impose what my want is as much, unless that is my intention, and in case I will try and manipulate them to do what I want, you know, I'll be honest. But it can be the same thing said about the guy who doesn't want to train legs, right?
That's true, yeah.
And I just want to do bro muscles, I want to train chest and arms. The same thing with the client who just wants to do cardio, I don't want to do weights. So what I do is, I implement what it is that they want and what they need without them realizing that I'm giving them what they need and I still give them what they want. So here's a great example. I had a client years ago who used to hate training legs. Used to hate it. Anytime he'd see legs on the program, he wouldn't come in that day. Okay, and I used to bash my head against the wall and go, why does this guy not want to come in, do legs? Clearly, he should understand the physiological response to training such big muscle groups such as legs, blah, 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 blah. Surely he didn't understand, and he also didn't care. So what did I do? I changed the program. What did he love to train? Can you have a guess at what muscle groups? Arms, right? Most guys, most bros. So I put the session title and I sent it him the week before we was doing the new phase. Arms on Monday, chest and back on Tuesday, and shoulders and da-da-da on Friday, or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, but it didn't actually say legs in it.
Okay.
So just from not seeing legs, he was crazy happy. Now what did I do is I put leg training straight after he did arms, and it was one session. I did leg training straight after he did back. I did leg training straight after he did shoulders. So I amalgamated a leg press in that day. I amalgamated rack pulling on the back day, you know, or RDL. I never did a leg day. You know, I did it with his arm last night, right? I said, right, we're going to train shoulders and back with a bit of legs. Go warm up. He didn't want to do legs. What did I do? I made him do 4 sets of leg press and hamstring curl. How did I do it? I trained these other likable muscles first. I got him buzzing, and then whilst he was still on a high, I said, just come over here. We're just going to do some leg press. Throw this in as well. He did legs without even realizing he did legs. And he walked out with his, you know, his big pump and whatever else. He loved it, right?
But that something is very valuable for the trainers to understand.
For the general population, it is a thing for them. They come into the gym and they step on the treadmill for 1 hour straight, and they think that it is the best thing for them.
Because
but it is, yeah. So for me, it is my personal thinking that I want to educate them that what is better for them. Yeah. So right now,
am I willing to be educated about the benefits of resistance training versus cardio?
Yes,
and if you're not, please do not bash your head against the wall.
Yeah. So right now, just walk me through the importance of resistance training physiologically and psychologically for males or female both, like for a person.
Physiologically?
Yeah.
Well, more lean mass is an obvious one, which I've never known really anyone who doesn't want to have. Well, I can speak majority for the male population, but for females, I've never had a female that doesn't want a more round bum / muscular bum / the whole thing, right?
They want to avoid big shoulders and arms.
So I avoid training shoulders and arms.
Okay, yeah.
If you train a muscle, the chances are you may hypertrophy that muscle in a certain way. You know, if I want to avoid hypertrophying a muscle, i.e. growing it, there's many things that you can now do. We discussed over the internship and the seminar at the weekend. You can remove eccentric training.
Yeah.
So you do not do the muscle breakdown process within the repetition, and you simply do the concentric and isometric part of the exercise. You can do that. Or I just don't train it. If a girl goes, every time I train shoulders, they just get big and I don't want big shoulders. I go, cool. We don't need to train shoulders for hypertrophy then. But what we may need to do is train shoulders for flexibility, stability, and overall health.
From metabolic function.
Maybe metabolic and maybe for health also. You know, because you do yoga class on Fridays, so the fact is you're probably going to load your shoulders doing the downwards facing dog and whatever else you do, right? So that's cool, it's ticked off. I'm happy with that. You've gone through all ranges within your joint, if that's my goal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So if a client is not willing to be educated on something, that is the equivalent of you trying to force someone or force a child to do the homework, and they don't want to do the homework. Now, if you, as a parent, you have the ability to literally force the child to put the game down and do your damn homework. As an adult, I don't want to do my homework. And then you just simply have to say, okay, no problem. That's where we're at the moment. So they will not be a client, or they will not get results as a client. Now you need to decide as a coach whether you want to keep them as a client. And in my opinion and experience, that would be a bad idea. Because there is no coach-client relationship anymore.
Yeah, so is there more than just a lean muscle mass? Is there any health benefits coming from
so physiological, sticking back to that. So you will have, as an elder, you will have reduced chance of osteoporosis, arthritis, because you have stronger musculature, bigger musculature that will be surrounding the joints. if you are involved in any kind of resistance training, you load bones like you wouldn't in other exercises such as cardio, such as swimming. I'm all for swimming, you know, I'm not anti-swimming, but it's no load bearing. So it's great for rehab, and it's great for someone who's overweight because they load themselves even when they walk with 150 kilos. I don't need to load them anymore. I need to take load off them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot of sense, yeah.
So you get those benefits for health and longevity, of course. The other bonus for me personally, is the endorphins. That's the one thing I've missed by not training all these years, is the endorphin rush that I get from resistance training, but I can get the same kick when I do HIIT training, you know, to some degree. I would not get that if I did steady state cardio though.
What about those
People that who is doing HIIT like 5 days a week in order to lose weight, and that's I can't even call them HIIT because they're doing it for 1 hour straight. HIIT 1 hour straight. It's not a HIIT, but still they think that they're doing HIIT, high intensity interval training for 1 hour 5 days a week. Now tell me that what kind of impact they are putting on their bodies and how it's going to impact in the future.
Sounds to me very much like someone who trains like an athlete, but they're not an athlete, right?
Yes.
That's the sort of person that it is. The chances are that they will crash and burn is very high.
Yeah.
Unless you have all the recovery mechanisms in place to support that amount of output at that intensity. That would be soft tissue, that would be on point nutrition, that would be your supplementation, that would be your sleeping quality and quantity. That would be your stress management mitigation away from your training. That would mean for me, no more kids, no more wife, no more job. You know, this is an athlete's life where you go into camp, you train with HIIT 5 days a week, you do your weight training as well. That's not my life. That's not most people's life. So they cannot sustain that amount of training unless you put yourself in a non-realistic environment, which typically athletes or actors will do for a period of time, right? They say, okay, I'm going to go away, I need to get this shape, I need to be in this condition. You don't go back to your wife at the end of the day and play with your kids and then, oh, I'm going to go to football and then I'm going to go to work and my boss is going to be a dick and he's going to stress me out, and then you know, I've got a side chick as well, she's stressing me out, and all these things, right? So you have to be aware that if I am going to go ham on training, I think it was Jay-Z or Kanye quote, hard as a motherfucker. If I'm going ham, I need to go ham on my recovery.
And most of those people, because they're
Doing for the weight loss purposes, they are not eating enough calories. And they drop like 6 kgs in the 1 month, second month maybe 3 kgs, and they're like plateaued for the longest period of time, and their recovery shit, their sleep is fucked up, and they're highly stressed.
Do you know any, have you ever read any athletes who do HIIT 5-6 days a week? Do you know about any?
No,
pro athletes?
Yeah, they're most of their, it's not a HIIT they're doing, their recoverability is so high.
So let's say this then, it's not HIIT, it's not true HIIT, that means it's 1 hour's worth of grueling cardio 5 days a week, grueling, right?
Yes,
to the point of I'm sweating buckets.
Yes.
You know, I'm working my ass off.
That's more like a boot camp style of training.
Okay, so for me, those people who do that, there would be pro athletes like Michael Phelps, you know, Lance Armstrong, you know, obviously drugs and stuff involved, triathletes, you know, like WWE wrestlers, you know, like these footballers to some degree, you know, 1 hour of intense training every day.
Yeah.
What do you think their calorific consumption is daily?
6,000, 7,000.
Easy.
Yeah.
Now you try and sustain that, whoever you are, don't care whether you're the best athlete in the world, on 2,000 or 1,500 calories a day. It's not sustainable.
Yeah,
you will crash and burn, you'll get injured, you'll get highly stressed, your sleep is now screwed, and you'll throw in the towel. You'll throw in the towel typically before you crash and burn, and if your mentality is go hard or go home, you will crash and burn.
And that's where the yo-yo cycle will start to happen.
And that's when you have an eating disorder.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when you start becoming bulimic. You know, and that's when you start going, okay, I'm going to fast the next day because I overate. You know, I have to because I can't be fat again. And then you have all of these unhealthy behaviors and relationships with food then.
Yeah. So just give me a few pointers,
Like few things a individual they should do in order to get the transformation.
Go seek a professional's help.
that's number one.
If I want to open up a business and I know nothing about opening up a business, I will go to someone who I know is successful because they've already opened up multiple businesses, or they've helped people who've opened up multiple businesses. So seek a professional, without a doubt.
Okay. If that's not an option, then
Educate yourself and read books on how to open up a business from people, listen to podcasts from people who've done transformations,
Yeah,
got results,
yeah.
and learn as much free information as you can. YouTube, Instagram, you know, podcast, books, audio books if you don't like reading or you can't read. You know, speak to friends of people who've done transformations and find out what they did. Multiple people, not just one. There's loads of free things that you can do. How the hell have I got to Pakistan, right?
yeah.
Through the internet, through communication, through WhatsApp, through speaking, through the connections that we made through mutual friends. Like, there is no excuse now that you can either come from the side of which you somewhat did earlier with your perception is, and I still do, is overwhelm and too much confusion, or you can come from a standpoint of, wow, there is limitless possibility of now how I can skin a cat. Yeah, it's a saying in the UK, I don't know if you know that here. There's many ways to skin a cat. I don't know, I have no idea where it come from, but there's more than one way. There's many ways, and it's all freely available.
And so you don't give
Training and nutrition to anybody.
No, I hate it. So you know, when I give out general template on the weekend, it made me, a small part of me died inside because I gave a 12-week plan of what I would do with a client. However, everyone in the room took pictures of it.
I remember that. So, because the way they
need
think,
absolutes, just like general pop. I need to know exactly what to do. So I gave them, this is what I would do with the majority of people. However, it still has loads of room for leeway depending on the individual. You know?
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to reach out to you, how do they do that?
Reach out to me. You can reach out to me through FLF, frontlinefit.co.uk. You can reach out to me through reaching out to you, because you'll probably put them onto me anyway. I'm hopefully coming back to Pakistan next year. This is my third year now. Third year?
It's 2.5 years. We did 3 seminars in 2.5 years.
I like how precise you are. So 2.5 years now. I want to come back next year. We want to do some stuff again. We want to ideally improve the education of the PT industry in Pakistan. So that's something that me and you have been speaking a lot about. But look, that's the bonus of it again. I'm not off it completely. I'm not as active on it. I don't follow anyone in particular. I can see people through my business account, but for me, it's a distraction. I get easily distracted. I know that. So we live in a world of the internet. You Google me and you'll find me. It's dead easy to do.
Yeah, so this is the end of the part 1 of the podcast. So we are doing another podcast and we are speaking about digestion. That's, I think, the most important part when it comes to transformation. I struggled with myself a lot, and so this is something that I really want people to understand it. So we'll see you in the next part.
Come on.
That's cool. Yeah.